Hello again. So this is the in-game view of the tower of that last from the last video, our current progress. So it has portrait, birth, death, animations, but it is actually not animated. But it renders properly. It has team color. So what we are going to do in this screenshot, we can see that camera is not very good. So first thing, we are going to move camera. We are going to move it a bit up in order to not show the invisible parts, and maybe a bit further here. Well, in future we can even make it in more interesting way. We can make it angle. Let's do this. So we can pick the target of the camera and put it into the center of the masses, like in the point of 0, 0, and then we need not to select background, and then we can make camera closer and put it down in order to give a view of the whole building, like from below. We can do this. So I hope that it will be something like this or like this. In this case we need to move camera here. So next few things regarding animations. It will be mostly in MDL, because MDL can do some tricks that Retera Model Studio cannot. But still, I would suggest to start with some basic concept things about animations. Like, you need to understand, for instance, in birth, what should appear after what. Like, you have some foundation, stairs, you have maybe first level of your building, and probably you need to move a bit your birth meshes in order to provide more cozy and beautiful effect. For instance, you need to move this here, or I would even do this like this. One, then I would take this like here and rotate it, between those blocks. And well, these things they are a bit messy. I don't want to do surgery of the separation, so I would just rotate it like this, maybe put it here, maybe something like this, something like this. So this is the start. It's not animation, it's only concept, positioning, and selecting what geosets do you want to appear in which order. So regarding actual animation, you should start with bones. You can create bone via this button bone, and you need to look at what pieces can be moving, what can move actually. So I would separate, like I did some brief overview of this model, so I already know what can be moving during the birth animation. Like, we have kind of wooden beams, but they don't have caps, so we need something additional. Maybe we need Yeah, we need those wooden frames. So if we turn off our birth and look at those wooden frames, we can start with something. I would do next things. Like I would pick a bone, and I would reassign those geosets to this bone, and I would rename this bone as, no, sorry, not reassign matrices, but rename bone to like floor 1 build, some random name, and set parent for this bone to root. So floor 1 is kinda, we have it, we have, yeah, you always need to understand what is where. Yes, so we have wooden frame, lower wooden frame, it is attached to floor 1, but we also have top wooden frame, and we also have various windows. We have round windows, and we actually have our main building. Seems like other, yeah, and we have bottom windows, we have wall bricks, other wall bricks, again wall bricks, again, and seems like, yeah, and door. Let door also be a part of this. So this is huge amount of different geosets, and I would, just for simplicity of the example of birth animation, attach all of them to floor 2 bone. Like we will create a bone, we will rename it to floor 2 build and put it in the center but a bit upper. Yeah, we will we can even do position typing to make it purely centered. Raise it up and attach everything that is upper than floor 1. We can reattach to this floor 2, and also the door and the lower windows, because it's a part of this floor. Okay, floor 2. What else do we have? We have some pieces like chimney or chimney, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. So this, obviously this is the door, and this should be assigned to floor 2. But for this particular piece we can create a separate bone, and we can animate it during the birth and death animations. So we will rename it to chimney. We will place it here. We will reassign matrix to chimney, and finally we will set parent to root. Oh yeah, by the way, floor 2 also needs to be set parent to root, and save. So what pieces do we have not yet attached to something that we can use in birth? Default foundation pieces are attached to bone root, so we don't need to reattach them. And I think that the only thing that is not attached is the eagle heads. Are the eagle heads. Yeah. And yeah, we can create 2 separate bones for them, because those eagle heads, they can fall fall down during death animation, so it would be cool to have them here. First of all, we will rename it to Eagle Head 1, then we will rename it to Eagle Head 2, and we will reassign it properly. Yeah, raise it up a bit. Set parent to root. So seems like all of our building pieces have its bones to be attached. Yeah, I'm also thinking about the main building. Maybe we could separate the roof, but I'm not sure about this because it seems like the roof, need to check, is it, oh yeah, no, it's probably not a good idea to separate it from other pieces because it will be pain to animate them. Well, okay, anyway, we can leave it as is. In future we can change that. So what we have achieved, we have a set of bones that will help us with animation. Quite a few only. Floor 1, floor 2, chimney, eagle head, eagle head. We are going to save the model and we are going to go to MDL section. So here we have our bones, and all of those bones, wow, cool, we have some data in root. All of those bones, they don't have frames for animation yet, and we need to add them. What we are going to do, we are going to use my cheat sheet, like it's predefined, copied translation and rotation data from other model, and I rewrote it to be consistent with current animation time frames. So as you can see, our current model animation time ranges are applied in this piece, and we can just copy this part and add this to each bone description after geoset animid row. And this will help us because it will create a key points for animation that we can adjust in future. Okay, so we pasted it and probably just in case in root. Okay, another thing that I want to add is color. Color run is an interesting thing. It's similar to world editor, object editor, tinting color. So RGB, but RGB is swapped here. First is blue, second is green, and last is red. So it's the amount, like here you can see that on the animation frame 94999 the geoset should be like 50% of gray, 50% of blue, 50% of green, and the interpolation between those time frames is linear. So what we are going to do, we are going to look at our geosets, and seems like all of them can be visible in depth animation, like all of them. And we are going to apply this color transition to all of them in order to create an effect when in that animation the model pieces are going to be dark. So what we are going to do, we will copy the geoset animation of any existing thing, and we will define the geoset 0, which is our piece of door and chimney, and obviously it is visible in all animations of our model. It becomes invisible only in the last frame of decay, and the interpolation is don't interp. And after that we are going to copy paste the color, and we need to do some edits because I haven't changed the time frames, but they should be consistent. So you have the 1 coefficient in all animations. So as you can see, 100, 100 and 100% in regular animations. Oh yeah, it is very hard to not get lost in numbers. That's the only hard thing about MDL editing. So what can we see here? The last, it is easier to separate them like this. You have a pairs. You have pair of birth animation edges, pair of stand animation edges, pair of death, death animation edges, pair of decay animation edges, and pair of portrait animation edges. So what is my approach? Usually in the end of decay animation I set colors to pure 0, and like it's become very dark. In the beginning of decay it is half of its power, and 1 second after death animation starts. So death animation starts at 64067. Means that 65067 should be 50%. It means that when death animation starts, during 1 second the building will burn and it will get a darkened color, and it will create this cozy effect of destruction. So what we have? We have beginning of death, we have 1 second after death, and then we have end of death animation. Then we have decay, and in the end of decay it becomes completely 0. And this is the pattern that I use in all my buildings. You may not use this if you want, but it can create cozy effect that you will see later. So we are going to multiply this approach to all of our geosets up to 19th. Yeah, because 19th is portrait background and 20th is the birth, but all others, they are functional, they are pieces of building, and we need to apply this visibility and color rules to all of them in order to get desired effect. Yeah, this requires some patience, attention and accuracy in your moves. I'm just copy pasting and reassigning geoset IDs to the values until I hit the portrait background. 17s, 18s, and yes, finally we get to our goal. Now we can observe the effect that we have on this building when it plays the death animation. So as you can see, death, and bah, it becomes dark because it burns. Decay, it becomes, sorry for my poor English, it becomes completely dark and disappears because animation of the material makes it transparent. In all other animation it's still as it was. And yeah, so we have implemented color run. One more thing that I want to fix in MDL is I want to make all those materials, I want to make them two-sided, because in some places they are not looking good. So we need to hide all our holes. Okay, now it should be better. Yeah, when you look from below, you cannot see any like transparent sky above here. So what do we have here? We have working color transparency in death and decay, like alpha, texture transparency, and alpha run. Oh, sorry, color run and alpha transparency. What we are going to do now? Now we are going to go to animation section and make birth animation for this building. Since we have created our nodes, floor 1, floor 2, chimney, eagle heads, since we have all of the time frames, we can actually make animation birth works. So what can we do? First of all, we are stepping in birth animation here, and we are stepping in the first frame 0. And I wouldn't use eagle heads for now. I would move only floor 1, floor 2, and chimney. So what would I do? I would also I would turn off the rendering of the portrait background in order not to distract myself. So this is the point 0, and we just pick this bone, and as we can see there are 2 frames for it already created in MDL with rotation and translation to default state. And in the 0 point I'm going to lower down the building, and you just can see what is happening. Like in the beginning of the construction of the building, the tower will be below the ground, and probably the chimney also should be there, like very low. The first floor should be slightly below the ground. I think it can be either like this. Yeah, let it be like this. Not below the ground, but slightly, like it's only the beginning of the birth animation. And what you can see if you roll the time roller, you can see that the building is rising up, and you basically have your first steps of animation. But you still need to do some edits, because in current case your building will, you have just moved it into position, so all 60 seconds it will be rising, and I think that first floor should rise a bit earlier or not, I don't know. Anyway, the finished constructed tower should be not in the end. I would put it earlier. Like I would take the floor 2, I would step on the last frame, I would copy the floor to build translation, and I would paste it to some point, for instance here, like after 39 seconds it's finally built, the second floor. And maybe regarding chimney, I would put it in default position somewhere, let's say somewhere here. Yep, cool. So something is wrong. Okay, again. Oh, it's floor 2. Yeah, I picked the wrong bone. I need to pick the chimney bone. Yeah, translation. And in order to just find some relative point, maybe here or here, yeah, then I pick the chimney bone and I do paste, Ctrl V, and I passed the coordinates for the bone. So as you can see how it goes now. The building rises gradually, and at some point of time the chimney rises from it. Regarding the eagle heads, well, actually the simplest way that they can be animated in birth is transparency run, and we are going to make it now. We are saving the MDL, then we are opening it, and simplest way to find, like, we remember that we have eagle geosets, we called it eagle, and we can see that it's material ID 1, and if it is material ID 1, we are just scrolling up to material section, finding material ID 1, setting like, let it be in the beginning of the birth animation, this material will be fully transparent, and some in the end, like in the point of 53,333 at this second, like 10 seconds before the finish of birth animation, or 7, it will be visible. So we have a transgression from 100% or transparent to 100% non-transparent during 1 second, and it happens at the 52nd second of the birth animation and ends at 53rd second of birth animation. Of course, Retera Model Studio cannot render the transparency run for textures, but in game and in world editor it will be visible. Okay, so let's see how the birth animation looks now, and this is how it looks. We can speed it up a bit. So our building will be gradually growing from the ground. And in the end, the chimney will arise. And at some point, eagle heads will appear. So this is pretty simple. In the end of the birth animation, those pieces of construction are destroyed. Now the complicated thing goes. We need to do something with death animation, and it requires some sophisticated mindset. Well, we can start with very simple things, like we know that our eagle heads and chimney can fall down, but what I would also do, I would do this in a very interesting way. So meanwhile I'm saving it, I would add some bone here. I would add some bone for the third floor. So what do we actually have? We have our wooden frames, we have our like main building, and I would do this. I would create a bone. I would call it floor 3 death. I would set parent to floor 2, so we don't need to manage the birth animation of this bone. And I would put it a bit up here. Then I would select all interested pieces like windows, maybe some circle windows, wall bricks, and that's all. And then we need to go to vertex mode, and we need to assign those vertices to this bone, floor 3 death. What will happen next? So next we can go to death animation and do some actions for our bones. But first we need to give default data to our new bone. So we have bone floor 3 death, and we just need to copy the default positioning to here. Yeah. Then we can open again this model, and we can go to animation mode. We can go to death animation. We can turn off everything that we don't need, like tower build, portrait background, and we can see what is happening during the death animation. So usually all destruction movements, all transitions of bones that are going to display the destruction of the building are happening for a half of a second, or maybe 1 second, but usually in half of a second. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna pick floor 2, and in the moment of time that happens half second passed after the beginning of death animation, it will be 64, 5, 6, 7, somewhere here. Yeah, we need to lower down the second floor to some low position, like let's be like this, Yep. And our third floor, we even can add some rotation. It can be like this, like destroyed building. Even we can do this here. Yeah, maybe like this, Okay, good. Maybe even floor 1 can be moved a bit lower to this state like this, or upper, or maybe also a bit destroyed, something like this. Also, we can do some squeezing. We can just squeeze this building like this. And we need to copy all those bones manipulations, copy them, and paste to the last moment of death animation. And now we can take a look what is happening. Whoa! All those jumping are happening because scaling is performed with another interpolation type, with hermit interpolation, and we will fix that. So okay, we're gonna save that. We are going open again here, and here we need to write linear. Need linear interpolation for scaling, and we also need we need to put info about all other states of this bone in all other main frames of the animation, like the beginning and in the end. Okay, saving it, reopening, and taking a look at it. Death animation, bam! So tower has been fallen, and seems like it is not enough. And what would I do? I would do some additional moves. Let's check what we can do. We can move floor 1 and floor 2. We can move them even after this frame, like it fell down here, like doo-doo. And after that, maybe here it completely fall, maybe like this. Yeah? Oh no, maybe better in opposite direction like this. No, it looks weird. Maybe here. No, not good. How about that? Well, this seems to be better option. And it goes even lower. It goes there, and it squeezes more. I hate it. No, it shouldn't be squeezed. Maybe we need to change something here, or just copy its position here and do something like this. No, not a good option. Let's just lower it down. I'm not sure that it's a good decision, but we can try. We can try copy these positions and put them here, so it will be look like this. Yeah, that's better. Regarding these pieces, let's go back to our heads of the eagles and chimney. So we have them here. At some moment of time the tower is crumbling, and well, the eagle head of the front should fall on the stairs, probably, I think. So we will do this and this, and we'll rotate it like this and put it on the stairs. And let's look how it falls. Quite nice. Just fell down, and in the next couple of seconds it can slide down from the stairs like this, rotate a bit like this, rotate with this axis and this axis, and go down to ground like this. Transformation falls and slides. Okay, and then we copy its position and paste into the last frame of the death animation. Regarding Eagle 2, since Eagle 2 falls back, I think we don't need to make anything sophisticated about that. Oh my god, Retera Model Studio, sometimes I hate it. It just falls down. It can be a bit rotated in some direction like this, and maybe reshaped here like this, and put on the ground like this. So last bone is chimney, and we will handle it in a minute. Okay, let's proceed with the last bone that we have to move. It's chimney. So since it falls down, by the way, I think I need to move the Eagle 2 in different position because nobody sees it. So we go into death animation, like we are picking Eagle head 2 and looking at what's happening with it here, and we need to move it somewhere here in order to make it visible for the viewer. Yeah, that's better. And the bone chimney falls, should fell somewhere. First of all, I think it should be like a part of roof here, like this. And it should be rotated also like this. But in next few moments, when the building falls down, we need to put chimney here. We are going to rotate it again like this, and again like this, and move it here. Yeah, and copy its position and paste it here. And let's look at our death animation. Well, more or less okay. Our eagle heads fell, our chimney falls, our tower is destroyed. Seems quite logical. Okay. One more thing that I want to do. I want to change the position of the root bone, probably, or no, I want to change the animation of the foundation. Let's do this, because when tower falls down, it would be weird to see this undestroyed fundament. So let's do this. We are going to create another bone, call it maybe basis or basement. Let it be basement. Set parent to root, put it in the center, then go to foundation blocks, concrete, stairs, and reassign this to basement. And we need to save, then we need to go again to MDL, say hello to Retera Model Studio, and we need to put the default time frames in our basement bone. Then we need to reopen our model and go to animation mode, go to death animation, pick this bone basement, pick all of our frames that we are using in death animation, find the point of time where things are getting destroyed using some bone that we have already, like this, and maybe in this point we can pick the basement and move it a bit down in order to expose the Uber splat, like this, and rotate it in this position, so it will be like this. So we need to copy this changes to last frame. Also we need to make these changes. Yeah, that's cool. So let's look. Death, yeah, it moves perfectly. Now we need to do important thing. We need to select all our bones that have any movements. We need to select all of them. We need to go to the last frame of the animation, and we need to copy everything and pass to decay animation in order not to have our tower raised from death in this animation. So now we have death animation and decay animation. Everything seems to work smooth. Birth, stand, death, and decay, and portrait. Okay, let's do one important thing. We need to, since it's foreign geoset to this model, to the tower, we need to recalculate the extents. We need to pick these things and do recalculate extents. Consider current editable geosets for calculation. Yes. Okay, and we need to move the overhead reference bone a bit higher because the tower is high, like this. Okay, now we need to save it as MDX, import to game and test it. Oh yeah, and a couple of things that I forgot about. So the sprites are important because they are the points where fire is going to burn when your building is nearly to be destroyed. So you need to change the positions of those sprites. Like the second can go here. It can go to our round window. It will burn the eagle head, and first one should be somewhere, I don't know, somewhere here. Let it be. If we are looking from the camera perspective, it should be here, and second here. However, we might add a few more, but let us use something that we already have. So we are saving the model as MDX, importing it to game and testing it.